Hey guys, wanted to continue to talk about narcissism, dismantling narcissism, identifying narcissism, identifying a narcissist in your life, okay? And, we're 99% of society being fakes or frauds, that existing in our society, setting a false narrative for what you think success is, and it's not. It's based on fakes, frauds, and snitches run the industries. Okay, so trying not to be entertained by that, trying not to be swayed into believing that that was something real and something true. When it was the easy way out. It was the coward's way out. It was somebody who didn't put in the hard work, somebody who didn't have the talent in the first place, somebody who didn't have the brain power. They didn't have the ingenuity. They didn't have the creativity. They didn't take the time to sculpt themselves out of clay. They didn't take the time to chisel themselves out of stone. No, they paid a plastic surgeon. Okay, and that's just I want to make an analogy, and you know what, but on a deeper level, that's the world we live in, and it's hard not to have a psychological reaction to some of these things because you want to say, "Wow, that's nice," but you're gonna, and it's hard not to be entertained by that. But if at least once you realize that it's fake, at least once you realize that it's fake, and maybe you start to take a bigger psychological step back or a bird's eye view upon that being fake and being so fake, and being that there's that there's a psychological reaction, and having the psychological reaction, but also realizing that it's fake and fraud, and that somebody else would actually put themselves through that and go through all of that, is a whole nother thing, and can be humorous in some levels, but it's at the end of the day, it's not really humor. It's just, you would have to acknowledge it being fake. So I wanted to get more into detail and talk about another a narcissistic catchphrase. Okay, so a narcissistic catchphrase. Okay, we can start with the word "if." Okay, so when somebody says "if," it changes everything. Okay? Once you say the word "if," we're not in the real world anymore. We just took a trip to a fake fantasy world. Okay? Once somebody states the word "if," we just went to magical dream world. It never existed and never happened. Never wasn't there. If, okay, but so that's just something we say the word "if." But when someone says another narcissistic catchphrase, but basically they're trying to gain attention or brag or be boastful, okay? And in the narcissistic, the chain of events usually that happen with the narcissism and how that elaborates and how it becomes more and more toxic. Usually it starts off with them, having a void, seeking attention, stealing clout, wanting to gain attention for themselves, maybe spreading rumor, maybe taking words, twisting them, all these psychological games and traps and stuff that they set. And, then it gets detrimental to society when they start telling lies. They start, to gaslight the beta recruitment. The betas want to be around other betas. The betas want to associate with themselves because they're liars, they're snitches, they're frauds, and they can just all, they can think it's humorous and, on how society is tricked and brainwashed into serving their own agenda. And then they'll insert a phrase where they'll brag and boast about themselves or talk about how bad they are or how good they were at something. Okay. But the thing about it is that they'll start with if, which we just went to magical dream world. I I would have done this. Okay. And let's just see what people would use that on. Okay, so people would talk about maybe I've heard it 11 out of 10 times in sports. Okay, so I could easily tell you all about people who say that I would have in sports. Okay, who never even played. People who were saying I would have, or if we're in dream world, all of a sudden we just went to dream world. All of a sudden, if I would have played, I would have done this. So in sports is like, the proverbial couch potatoes, who never really played. They never really played sports. They never really played on upper levels. Maybe they never even really went against any real talent in sports. They never really did anything. But yet they're saying, we just went to dream world. If I would have played, I would have done this. Okay, so I would have done this, or if I would have, and then you could insert any industry. Okay, so I could leave that part blank. If I would have, and blank. Let's just say I'll insert another industry. Let's say like being a firefighter. That being a firefighter industry. Okay. If I would have been a firefighter, I would have been the baddest firefighter. I would have put all the fires. I would have put out every single fire. I would have been, and they start bragging and posting and how they're unstoppable and this and that. Okay, so in sports, because I felt a lot of the animosity and this and that in sports by actually playing them and this and that, and the psychological problems that. If you're not talking about anything about winning, then people have psychological problems, and it steams of psychological problems: greed, jealousy, enviness, and the narcissism starts. You know what I'm saying? Because they never really played, they never did anything, they never accomplished anything. So, so let's just try this again, and I'm gonna try to put another industry in there. Let's just say like being a lawyer. Okay. If I was a lawyer, okay, so if we just went to dream world, I'm a lawyer. If I was a lawyer, I would have been the baddest lawyer, and I would have put cases on all those criminals, and I would have done this, and I would have done that. And okay, but that didn't really happen. Okay, but in narcissism, they're spitting garbage, they're spitting verbiage that. It's not really applicable because you said if. Okay, now let's come back to reality and take the ifs out. Okay, and that's part of dismantling narcissism. Okay, is taking their verbiage of if and don't put an if in there. What really happened? No ifs, ands, or buts. Okay, because the ifs, ands, or buts is when they flip it into an excuse of why they didn't. Okay, that's another psychological game that they'll play, and that's a good one. Hey, no ifs, ands, or buts, because ifs never really happen. Ifs are in the magical fairy time world that things don't exist, and you can just holographically implant a fraud, a fake, a life. And they can do it. On a grand narcissistic level, they can do it. Ain't gonna be no good deal. That's a deal, though. It ain't gonna be no good deal. You may think, wow, that'd be a good deal. There ain't no good deal. They don't make good deals. Good deals are not made. So I'm gonna try this one. I'm gonna continue doing this though. I'm gonna do this for something dumb. A car mechanic. Okay. If I was a car mechanic, I would have been able to fix all those cars, and I would have been able to work on anything, and I would have been able to done all this. I would have been twisting wrenches on all kinds of stuff, and I would have had a whole bunch of customers, and I would have done the best job, and I would have been the best car mechanic if. Uh, okay, but hey, wait a second. Okay, when you say if, but you weren't really a car mechanic, were you? No, no, but I mean like if I would have been a car mechanic, I would have been. Yeah. Oh, I know I would have. Okay. Well, how do you know? How do you know you would have been the best car mechanic? And you got to listen to the narcissistic and the psychological problems. And once you start to ask maybe simple questions, it'll really piss a narcissist off. You know, once their lies start to come out, it'll sometimes it'll really get underneath their skin where they really start to antagonize the narcissist, and that's something maybe you can do, but ultimately you don't want to, because the beta recruitment, the gaslight, they'll start to gaslight, they'll start to gaslight. Okay, they'll recruit other betas. Okay, but that's another little catchphrase. So if and what if and and then blank being whatever industry, fake industry. In the fake industries, 99% of all the fake industries, I could just insert that one right there. Okay, I could have been this and that's not, and then boast. Okay, so that's the formula. That's the narcissistic formula. Okay, so if and anytime, and if could be a simple variable, and it doesn't have to, and that could be, yeah, a little bit narcissistic, and maybe if you want to play that, what I'm saying, maybe that might be a way to analyze something. But at the end of the day, you have to say, but that never happened. Okay, and that's on a healthy level. Okay, but then if you keep living in this fallacy that if and when that elaborates into if I would have, okay, so if I would have, that catchphrase, you're gonna have to whoa, stop. Hey, I mean, you may want to say it like that because I'll really antagonize the narcissist, and they'll, get the gaslight and all that. So we'll start, and it'll haywire their psychological game and trick that they've played on themselves and brainwash themselves to say that they would have or could have, done this or that. Okay, so I'm gonna try this one again, and let's try to say another industry. Another one of these industries, and car mechanics. That's something real. That's actually physical. Doing something. I'm gonna try to say something. Something like that could be faked. That could be frauded. Let's say. Let's say somebody who said they wanted to be a celebrity. Okay. Well, we just went to dream world. We just went to Fantasyland. If I was a celebrity, I would have been the best celebrity, this and that, and they would have been all. I would have had the most media. I would have had the most attention. I would have had the most fame. I would have had the most fortune. And if being, where a lot of times you may want to stop somebody, go, whoa, brakes. Stop. Okay. If never really happened. If you want to we just want to acknowledge that wasn't real, though. That wasn't the case. So I had heard this in my lifetime, mainly when narcissists, a lot of times they'll try to tell you everything. They might act like they're a know-it-all. They might. And they don't, and it's they start spewing garbage and just to gain attention for a small moment, and then they'll boast, okay, and then talk about their own fake achievements, fake talent, okay. Okay, so let's try for another one of these these fake little industries that they have. Let's see, somebody somebody who wanted to say they were in music, you know what I'm saying? In today's music, it's not, you see a lot of people, and it's probably the majority of people that don't even play instruments. I always thought you had to be, if you were to be a musician, you had to play an instrument. That's what I always thought. But in today's society, you have a lot of people who are like, they could take a mouse and they could drag a mouse, click, drag, click, on these computer programs, drag, click, and play, boom, and boom, they're a musician. Okay, and it's, I guess it's real music, you know what I'm saying? But it's not. They're not actually playing the instrument. And to me, I don't actually. I would probably debate if it was real music. But anyways, let's just say for like a musician or like the guitar. Okay, let's just say guitar for some reason. So, and even among guitarists, I've heard other guitar players say like they should have played a certain style. They should have played blues music. If I would have been a blues guitar player, I would have been the best blues guitar player, and I would have had so much more attention. And if we just went to fantasy world, if I was a guitar, and you may really be a guitar player, but and if it's a real passion, do you even like blues? Well, no. Well, then why would you even play blues? And you start to dismantle the narcissism. But you may not want to see. You may want to be a little bit easier in your phrase, because you get a haywire narcissist brain, and they'll start to gaslight and this and that. It'll trigger some type of action where they're actually being called out. Okay. If I was a blues guitar player, I would have had so much more attention, and I would have done this and that. And if never really happened. And did you really even like blues music or have any blues music? Do you even play any blues music? No. Okay. Well, okay. They're spewing garbage. How would you even know that then? They don't. So yeah. So I just gave a lot of examples. So that's a narcissistic formula. Okay, a narcissistic phrase formula. Okay, that they'll start to use. And once again, I heard it a lot of times in sports where people said, if I would have played and you could insert any sport you wanted to. If I would have played that sport, I would have been the best, this and that, and they would never be able to stop me, and I would be unstoppable, and I would have done everything perfect, and I would have been perfect, and I never would have made a mistake, and I would have been perfect. I would have kicked everybody's butt, and if I would have played sports, I would have no problems. I would have had zero problems. I would have got along with every coach. I would have got along with every player. I would have got along with every teammate. And if I would have played sports, I would have been perfect in any way, shape, and form, and never made a mistake. Okay, well, what? Did you just say? Okay, so you just start with if, went to the fantasy world, talked about being beyond anything possible, talked about things that don't really happen, talked about things that were unlogical, not reality, at least that what way, shape, or form, and then bragged about how bad they were, this and that, and it was just where they said if. They started with if, and it's a fantasy world, any world, and they never even played. How would you even know how hard it is? Would you even know how hard it is? How would they know how hard it is? Anyway. Okay, how would they know how hard it is to get along with everyone? How would they know how hard it is that you're going to get along with every single person that's on your team? You don't realize that's hard. That's like real hard. How would they know that they would have never made a mistake? in sports when it happens constantly. Everyone else makes mistakes, but yet, if they would have, and once again, if we went to fantasy world, they would not have made a mistake. Well, how would they really know that? They don't. They're lying. Actually, they're full of crap. Okay, so identifying a narcissistic phrase. Someone, and you could just stop somebody when they say if. You can go, okay, well, but that didn't happen. If, okay, when it started like that. But when they start to say, if I would have, you're going to have to go, okay, that's, this person, they're having narcissistic or psychological problems. And it's, ultimately they'll brag about themselves or talk about how boast about themselves upon how, how the next thing out of their mouth is going to be bragging about themselves on something that they never did. They don't know how hard it is because they never did it. And you listen to them spew garbage, or you can cut them off. Maybe you can try to lead by example by humility, but that's a whole nother video. So I'm gonna wrap this one up. But identifying another narcissistic phrase, if and if I would have. Okay, so no. All right.